Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take a look at Gift of Tulips. And Gift of Tulips is published by Weird Giraffe Games, and it's a 2 to 6 player game. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play. In Gifts of Tulips, you're going to be celebrating a tulip festival, and on your turn, you're going to decide whether you want to keep that tulip, give that tulip to your opponent, or place that tulip in the display. The person with the most points at the end of the game from doing these three actions is going to be the winner. Let's go ahead down to the table, and I'm going to show you how this all works out in the game, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Gift of Tulips. In this game, you're going to be placing out tulips underneath either these first, second, third, fourth, or fourth place. Let's get these in the right order here. Handing one to your opponent or giving one to yourself. I'll explain how that works in a second, but you're going to be going throughout this game until the deck ends, and the person with the most points at the end will win. Now, this game does play up to 5 to 6. Setup for this game is pretty easy. You're basically going to remove all the 5 or 6 if you're not playing with the 5 or 6 players. I set this up for a 2-player game. In addition to that, you're going to remove some of the cards based on your player count. So here, if we're playing with 2 players, we're going to remove 18 cards. If we are playing with 3 players, we're going to remove 4. 4 players, we're going to remove 6. 5 players, we're going to remove 14. And 6 players, we're going to remove 10. Now, what were we going to do in this game? So I set this game up here for a 2-player game. You will be giving each player one of these reference sheets here, and you're going to give one of them these scorecards and give them whatever thing they want for scoring, and put that off to the side because you don't have any points yet. Now, the game does come with this little tulip scorer here that you could use to score the different types of tulips here for the amounts that are on the board here, but I didn't find that to be, I found that a little too fiddly, so I actually don't use that, but it is there. So to start the game out, we're going to flip 2. So this one will be the first place, and we're going to flip the next one. This one is a higher number, so this one becomes first place. So these are the 2 tulips that are out right now, and there's nothing in third or fourth place. Now on your turn, you're going to play 2 cards. Each card you're going to pick an action, but the second card you play can't be the first action you did. So when I get a card, so I get this one here, I can do one of 3 things. I can keep it and put it in my little area. I can hand it to the opponent so they can put it in their area, or I could place it on the board here. Now, if I place it on the board here, it's going to go in this 3rd position here. And then it's going to move up, so it will now be in 2nd place. A couple things. Now I get my second card. I can't place one here. I can give one to my opponent, or I could keep one. Now let's say I wanted to give this to my opponent. I will take a look at this number right here and take a look at what place it's in. So if it's in this place, it's going to be 3 plus. Now this will change based on player count too, because you notice this here number here is the player count. I didn't mention that, but when you're setting this out, you're going to look at your player count number and put that out. So this is going to be 3 plus the number of the tulip here. So I would get 6 points and score it on my little board here if I gave this to my opponent. The other thing I can do is I could keep this. So why would I want to keep this? Well, I would want to maybe keep this because at the end of the game, I want to have the most of that tulip. And if I do, I will get the points for the place that's in. Now, if we look at these cards, there's a couple things that are all listed on here. Points that you'll get for given. So this is 3 plus the tulip points. Points you'll get if you have the most at the end of the game. This is 15 points. And points if I keep that flower, which is 0. And if we go down here, this is 2 plus the flower for giving, 10 points at the end of the game, nothing for keeping. This one here is going to be 1 plus the value of the flower, and 5 points at the end of the game if this one is the one I have the most in, and 1 point for keeping the flower that is underneath this. And 4th place right here is no points, but I get the points on the flower if I give it, and I get 2 points if I keep it. So if I kept this, there's nothing for the keep bonus, so we just go over here. Now, Throughout the game, these will be shifting back and forth, but in general, that's the only thing you're going to be doing on your turn. You're going to be playing 2 cards. It will go over to my opponent. My opponent will look at this and say, oh, you know what? I'm going to be tricky. I don't necessarily think that I'm going to allow this to be number 1, so I'm going to give this to the opponent, and that'll give me 5 points. That's really cool. Now I'm going to pick up this one, and I'm like, maybe this is the one that I think should be moved up. So I'll keep it, or I'll place it on here and then immediately move this one up so it's now in first and be like, haha. Side rule in this game too that's very important is if nothing's in here and let's say I kept this card, they're always considered 4th place, so I would get 2 points for that, just so you know. And then if there's a 4th one, that would eventually go in here, and you would start moving these around and shifting them around. So you can see what happens throughout the game. After the game, this deck runs out, you're just going to finally just score whoever has the most of each of the tulips under 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Whoever has those gets those points, and then you're going to see who has the most points, and that person will win. So in a quick nutshell, that is Gift of Tulips. Let's go ahead back up to the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on this game. All right, so that was Gift of Tulips. Gift of Tulips component quality is really good. I like the card quality. That's really good. I like the component quality. I like the little wooden pieces on there. And my only caveat is I don't use the tulip score tracking thing. I find it's just as easy to count up the tulips that are in each of the place rows than it is moving up and down those little tulip tracks. But feel free to use that. I just skip it. The player board tracks are really nice that you can count up your score with. All that's really, really good. Gameplay for this game is really strategic and very surprisingly strategic for how simple the game is to teach. You only really have those 3 actions, and you do 2 actions a turn, and they can't repeat. So I could either keep, give, or place it in display, and then my second one has to be something different. So there's a lot of strategy and a little bit of push your luck in what you do with your 1st and 2nd action. I may I might keep the tulip and think that I'm going to be putting the next one in display, but then it flips and it's something that's really good for me to give to you to get points, or vice versa. It's really interesting how that all pans out in the game. And the games are pretty quick to play, and this is very easy to teach. So I consider this a light family weight game that is good for gamers too. So if you're looking for something in that area, I would highly recommend checking out Gift of Tulips. And that's my thoughts on it. Thank you for watching.